No Place for Nathan is a short story from Casey Watson. It's not a foster care memoir. This is one of the books that's written when she was in charge of the unit at the school. If you're unfamiliar with this, basically it's a place in the school where children can go if they're struggling with mainstream education. And she works with a lot of really interesting children from all kinds of backgrounds. And in this short story, she meets an 11-year-old boy called Nathan. And honestly, I found it to be really fascinating. It doesn't have as much information as I would like, but in a way that kind of highlights how much a school's hands are tied. Schools can only do so much if they have suspicions that a child is living in a dangerous or difficult situation. And this really helps to highlight that that is the case. So, yes, I was left with some questions and left wanted more information, but I don't feel like anything was withheld. I feel like we got all of the information that we could have been given. It's also very short. I'd say it's a half an hour read, give or take, depending on your reading speed. So I won't go into a tremendous amount of detail because otherwise I'll just be telling you everything that happens. But very basically, Nathan is disruptive. That's why he comes to the unit. And he starts to display some very questionable behavior. Sometimes he's very sweet, and occasionally he'll have these horrendous outbursts for no reason. And they seem to happen on a Friday. And there are a few theories thrown around for why this could be the case. And they're all very interesting, very plausible theories. And Casey decides to dig a little bit deeper and she walks Nathan home one day and he reveals something. But he doesn't reveal it as himself. He's not speaking as Nathan. And at the moment, I won't say any more than that. I will, with a spoiler warning, go into a tiny bit of detail, but certainly it left a lot of questions. And in a way, I think it helped to highlight the complexity of this kind of situation when you can only do so much as a teacher, as somebody who works with children in a school environment. There is only so much you can do. And this is really different to, for example, when we read the foster care memoirs from Casey Watson, where she's with the child in theory 24/7 if they're not at school, and if they are, then a lot of the time, and it's a lot more hands-on. Whereas not so much the case when you're in a school environment, and it must be so frustrating. And I cannot imagine what that would be like, especially when you really care for this child and you're concerned about them, and all you can really do is report it. And Casey does report it, and what I will say is that not everybody she reports it to has the child's best interest in mind. And that's all I'll say. So it is a very frustrating read, but it's very fascinating as well and kind of eye opening in certain ways. So I do recommend it. It is a very, very quick read, but I enjoyed it. It's not the best written. The grammar is quite bad, and pretty much every paragraph is no more than two sentences. There are a lot of very long winded, waffly sentences with three or four commas per sentence, and every now and then that's fine, but when it's every single sentence, it's just uncomfortable to read. So that is worth bearing in mind. But thankfully, it's only a half an hour book, give or take. So it doesn't last for too long. But if you can get past that, the actual narrative is really interesting. So, spoilers from now. A few very brief spoilers, nothing too in depth. But when I said that Nathan wasn't talking as himself, he talks as other characters, potentially split personality disorder. It's not very clear what is going on, but when the social worker said that he was doing it for attention, I was furious. Because where's the evidence of that? Nathan had recently been assessed by a therapist, but the report hadn't come through yet. So, how dare that social worker undermine what could potentially be written on that therapist or psychologist's report? For all he knows, that report could actually say, yes, this child has suspected split personality disorder. We need to look at this in more detail. And the social worker just said, no, he's just doing it for attention. How dare he? I was disgusted. I was absolutely outraged. He also said something to the effect of, when I visited the family by appointment, And I quote, by appointment, there was nothing wrong. Well, duh, you told the family you were going around. Of course they had time to tidy things up and fix the situation so there was nothing suspicious. What an idiot. Absolute idiot. So it is very frustrating in times. And as I said, that must be so difficult from Casey's perspective, where she's done what she has to do. And unfortunately, the people who take over the situation are just stupid. Um, yeah, so it's difficult but eye opening. And I enjoyed it for the right reasons, insofar as it's good to see there are people in school environments looking out for people like Nathan, but it is also very frustrating. But I recommend it. Definitely worth reading if you can get past the bad grammar. It's not my favorite, but yeah, it wasn't too bad.